U.S. reveals first 6th-generation fighter jet to replace F-35. The NGAD program represents a chance to design an airplane that is more sustainable than the F-35, if in fact the F-35 cannot get its cost per flying hour down, said outgoing AF acquisition head Will Roper. Washington. The F-35 fighter jet's exorbitant life cycle costs means the Air Force cannot afford to buy as many aircraft as it needs to fight and win a war today, which makes the Next Generation Air Dominance (NGAD) program all the more important, says outgoing Air Force acquisition czar Will Roper. I think the F-35 program is a long way from being at a sustainment point that we need. I think it's a long way from being an affordable fighter that we can buy in bulk, he told reporters today. That's the reason why next-generation air dominance is so important to the Air Force, he said. It doesn't just represent a next-generation fighter with bells and whistles that we will need in warfighting. It doesn't just represent a completely different acquisition paradigm. It also represents a chance to design an airplane that is more sustainable than the F-35 if, in fact, the F-35 cannot get its cost per flying hour down. Roper would not be drawn whether the Air Force was considering downsizing its plan to build a total inventory of 1,763 F-35s, with the Air Force requesting 48 aircraft in 2021 and planning to ask for the same annual buy for the foreseeable future, according to a study last month by the Center for Strategic and International Studies. But what I can say is we're not at the sustainment price point we need to be for a very large fleet. So the next few years are critical for the F-35 program, he added. He seemed to suggest that all things considered, perhaps the answer is to turn to NGAD to more rapidly build a wartime-fit fighter fleet. I very much hope for the future of the program, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't prepare for the worst. And so you can see that the movements that we have made in the tech air portfolio have set the Air Force up to have options, so that our eggs are not in one proverbial basket, he said. Roper explained that Air Force fighters have to be ready to establish air dominance on day one of a war, along with satellites to secure established communications. If they don't win the day, then there will be no time for the rest of the services to join. This is why the quantity of F-35s available matters, he said, as well as the quality of its capabilities. As to the quality, I think everyone feels pleased as the F-35 goes through testing, but it's very much focused on Block 4 as the next step that has to be taken. Quantity goes directly to whether the cost per flying hour can come down, he said. And right now the F-35 has a good sticker price, but its cost of ownership is not where it needs to be, making the quantities that the Air Force may need to purchase in question. Lockheed Martin understands the importance of F-35 affordability, both with regard to production and sustainment, and is focused on offering this unmatched capability at a cost similar to that of legacy aircraft, a spokesperson said. We are currently delivering F-35s at or below the cost of less capable fourth-generation aircraft, while also lowering the sustainment costs by 40% over the past 5 years. Longtime aviation analyst Richard Abulafia said that while the 1,763 US F-35, a number has always been one of the stranger fictions in defense procurement, because the Air Force simply can't afford that many no matter what. It's way too early to count on NGAD as a replacement. Basically, they can afford about 50 a year, given competing priorities, and assuming 20 to 25 years at that rate. The likely total is around 1,000 to 1,200, he said in an email. There are big variables, particularly regarding the next combat aircraft to enter procurement. Flying NGAD prototypes may or may not tell us something about that. We'll need to learn more about how long it will take to missionize and get ready for production and service. But the idea that F-35 procurement could ramp down to divert cash for a digital century series sounds very flawed to me. How important is this? When I asked Roper what program he'd most like to see succeed in the next year, he chose NGAD and the digital century series model he's championed as an acquisition strategy. Specifically, what I would like to see over the goal line would be taking digital engineering to its most fulsome representation in next-generation air dominance, because it matters for so much more than building a next-generation tactical airplane, he said. All of our programs are watching NGAD to see how far they can push the digital envelope, and not just Air Force, also Space Force. I've got every PEO in Space Force, including our Chief of Space Operations Gen, Jay Raymond, briefed into all the digital work we're doing, and now our space programs are following suit, trying to replicate digital practices for satellites. If you enjoyed content like this, please go ahead and like and subscribe to this video, because I appreciate all your support.